What's going on, Entre Nation? Today I want to talk a little bit about membership sites and more specifically about the certificates of completion that a lot of these LMSs or these other add-on programs or standalone systems offer for people when they get to a certain point in your membership. Now, the idea of building out an actual certificate page is pretty simple. You can see here that we went ahead and built one for you that if you drop a comment below and tell me that you need the certificate, I'll go ahead and just send it your way for free, no big deal. But you can see that all we did is we went ahead and we made a page that's going to make use of the PURLs, and you can see that this is simply a single block. We put the parchment as the background. We went ahead and did a background inside of the block as the actual framing, and then we just adjusted the different elements so that way there it goes ahead and says the person's name. Obviously you can change this text to whatever you want. We put our logo in there and just the normal thing. The only other fancy piece of code that we did, we did two things, is that we went ahead and added another Google font just so we have a little bit of cursive to make it a little bit more official looking. And you can see here the difference between where it says certificate of completion versus how it looks on the actual page. And then the only other thing that you see here is that we made a little bit of adjustments so that way it lines up on large monitors since some of the things were a little bit off. But that is unnecessary for most people since on the actual regular laptop screen it looks just like this, which is perfectly fine. Now for a lot of people that might be where you would stop, right? Because somebody could theoretically once they complete a certain point of your membership site or complete the entire course or however you want to do it, you could actually send them to a PURL. This would say their name. So let's just go ahead and do the preview so you can see that the preview would obviously replace their first name and last name with the context information. And so you would end up with a page that looks like this with their name there. And if they really wanted to, I'm on a Mac, so I hit Command P. If they're on Windows, they would hit Control P. They have some different options here on Mac at least, where you want to make sure that they have the background graphics set up, the headers and footers disabled, and you would come out with something that more or less was semi-acceptable, right? Now, there are some problems for the purists out there. You'd probably have to make some adjustments. You can see that this kind of got crowded here. You can see that this got cut off and put onto the second page. But if you wanted to, you could play around with stuff and probably change the padding and the margins on the actual page itself. Make this slide up slightly. And once that's done, of course, then they would just be able to print this as a PDF and save it on their computer, or they could print it out and then cut it out and frame it or whatever they wanted to do, right? But what if you wanted to have this generated automatically and turned into a PDF and then attached their contact file? So that way you could email them a link to download the PDF and or be able to display that however they wanted to, and it's already formatted for them. Well, to do that, we went ahead and put the dev team to work, and we came up with a solution that utilizes a webhook in a campaign that will turn any Ontraport page into a PDF and attach it to the person's profile. So then you can email them a link to it and they'll be able to download it directly to their computer. Now, in this particular video, we're talking about how you would use that for a certificate of completion. But of course, you can connect the dots and understand that this would also be useful for a signature on a contract, for example. So somebody goes through our contract flow, they sign it, and then it gets pushed into a campaign, and then they get emailed a copy of that signed contract. So there are lots of different uses for being able to generate PDFs on the fly, but let's take a look at how we set it up. So inside of Ontraport, all we needed to do was set up a simple campaign. Now you'll see there are two webhooks here because this is the webhook that gets sent to my test site, so I can make sure that everything is right. But all you really need is one webhook. And inside that webhook, we can see over here that we have our ClickFix token that we use, and we send this over to ClickFix. And then we have the data that we want to send. We have to define the object that we want to use. 0 is the contact object. This comes in handy if you are using things like custom objects and you have the profile or whatever you want to attach the PDF to in a different custom object. You would just define that here. The ID is to pull the person's ID, right? So we connect it to their profile, or in the case of a custom object, to the ID of the actual object you want it to attach to. The field, this is the custom field that we made for our upload box. So this is F1744 in our case. We want the name of the file to be the first name, last name, certificate 1. We want the storage. The storage corresponds to a token for ClickFix Uploader, which I'll show you in a second. We want the orientation to be landscape. If I had put P here, it would have been a portrait. And we want the URL. So in this case, we're going to attach it to a P URL. And what it's going to do is it's going to basically visit that page, let's say, and it's going to make sure that the customization or the personalization is on there, and then it's going to generate the PDF. And it's just that simple. All right, so if we want to see that in action, you'll see here that this is the file field that I'm targeting here. So this is F1744. And I'm going to go ahead and put this person, my contact here, into the PDF creator again. And it's going to take about 30 seconds to a minute to create that PDF and attach it to the file. So while we're doing that, we're going to go into ClickFix and I'll show you where we got the token for the actual upload box. So it's in the better fields. So this particular thing is a paid feature. We go into better fields, we go into uploader. And I'm in this particular case, I am using my file test uploader. So I view that one. All the keys are correct. Come down here, and this is the token, the QW1P. This is what you were seeing here in the actual data to send. This is that storage token, QW1P. All right, so that just tells it, in my particular case, it's uploading it to Google Drive, but you could put yours in Dropbox, Amazon, an FTP link, whatever you want. But this just tells it where to upload the finalized PDF to. And let's go check and see if this has rendered the information yet. Go into ClickFix here. Let's go ahead and refresh. So there you go. Now we got a link to our Google Drive, as you can see. I click into that, and it takes me to the final PDF. And so you can see that it has my certificate of completion. It did go ahead and do the personalization that we had with the PURL, and we have something that is now print ready. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this quick video. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to drop them below. If you'd like to test this out for either creating the certificates of completion, if you want that, then let me know and I'll go ahead and send them your way. And if you want to discuss how this might look in putting it into a contract signature flow, as always, thanks for watching, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about anything.